Hey guys, Jasmine Hollinger here, founder of Mother's Yoke, and I hope all you moms out there are having a great day. October, we know it for being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but what a lot of people, including myself up until recently, don't know is that October is also Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month. And so today I just wanted to talk about our purpose being greater than our pain in spite of loss. And so this isn't an easy video for me to do because the people who know me well know that I'm a very private person. I don't like to always expose my vulnerabilities or weaknesses. I don't like to share my business, and I've been this way practically as long as I've known myself, for 34 years. I just don't like to expose myself to the world. So just doing YouTube is a stretch. But sometimes God has a way of pushing us to go outside of our comfort zones, those things that we know we don't like to do or we're afraid to do, to stretch us and to make us better so that we can go on and carry the torch for someone else who may be struggling in the same area or somewhere similar or something similar. And so I'm taking a leap of faith. I'm being obedient to what God is pushing me to do, despite my human reservations. And so I just wanted to share with you moms out there that despite any type of pain we may go through, our purpose is so much bigger. The purpose, the reason God has put us on this earth is so much greater than any pain that we can ever endure in life. And that even goes for the loss of a child. So back in August 9th of this year, it'll be a day I'll never forget. One of the hardest moments in my life was I was 12 weeks pregnant, and I lost the baby. Prior to that, I'd been having maybe the week before that I was having some spotting, and I'm a Christian. I'm like, okay, I'm speaking. Even when I found out I was pregnant, I was, praying over the baby. I prayed against miscarriage. Even with the spotting, I still was praying to God, this doesn't mean anything. I'm going to keep the faith. I know it's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. I cried out to God and asked him to please help me not to lose the baby. And so I went to the doctor that morning, and a little bit of transparency. My husband, I wasn't really talking to my husband. I don't even remember what I was mad about with him. But I wasn't even talking to him, and I was like, I'm probably not even going to tell him or remind him. Well, he knew about the appointment, but it's like, I'm not even going to remind him about my OB appointment. But I just heard, you need to remind him about the appointment. So I reminded him. He came. And then, long story short, I found out that that the baby was no longer viable. And so I was devastated. I was hurt. I was upset. I was like, well, God, I prayed against this. I was having the faith. I was thinking positive. We even told a few people about the pregnancy, and most women who are pregnant, they say, well, wait till after you're past the first trimester. But I said, no, I'm not going to do that because I trust and believe in God that all is going to be well. So I want to tell, a few people My husband told some people I didn't even know knew that I was pregnant. But anyway, I was like, I'm not going to walk in fear. I'm going to, tell people. I mean, I'm not going to announce it to the world, but I'm not going to try to hide it. If somebody asks me, I'm not going to try to hide it. And so I just felt just broken, like, God, I was a good Christian and claiming my faith, walking in faith, not walking in fear, walking in confidence. And then this happened. I even prayed against, a loss of the child, and it still happened. But in spite of all that, God is still good, even when we don't understand the why or the how come. He's still good. I was heartbroken. I was sad. I was devastated. Found myself in a moment of despair, a dark place. But even in the midst of that, I decided to do something different than what I've done in the past when I'm struggling with something. And I decided to, even though I asked God, why have you forsaken me? Why did you take my child? I still told God, it's your will, not my will. You know what's best, even in the midst of the hurt and pain and the disappointment, I'm still gonna give you the praise. And so I decided to do that in spite of the loss. And I was devastated, of course, the day after I was devastated. My husband and I got into this big argument. It was just like a whole bunch of things were crashing down at once. Some things I've been struggling with prior to this is just like my world was just crumbling. And I found myself in a really dark place, questioning a lot of things, wondering a lot of things, questioning myself, questioning my marriage, just questioning a lot of things, dwelling on things that I'm like, I don't have clarity, I don't understand. But even in the midst of that, God was still good, and God is still God. And I want you to know that in the midst of that, God gave me that his purpose for us is so much greater than our pain. After that, after everything kind of settled, so to speak, I found that God was able to work a miracle in my life. And that miracle was, even though I was not pregnant anymore with a physical or natural baby, God still brought forth life. He brought clarity to my purpose. He brought clarity to my passion. He made things so much clearer to me that I have been praying for, even fasting with my church the month before in July for some clarity on some things. And it was like I kept on, God, I still don't have clarity, going back and forth, questioning a lot of things. And in the midst of that, in the midst of my pain, God was still able to gave me answers to things. And I'm like, well, why did it take this for it to happen? But, our purpose is so much greater than our pain. He was able to still offer me comfort, peace, clarity, understanding despite my pain, because even though I'm not pregnant and I'm not able to bring forth life to that baby, I've still got purpose. I've still got joy. I've still got peace. And so God just completely restored me. He made things better in my marriage, things that I had been praying for within myself, within my household, that I just was like, God, I'm kind of tired of praying about this or talking about this or dealing with this. And it just all of a sudden it worked out. Issues I was having, and some big decisions I needed to make that like I said, I had been praying, fasting about, still wasn't quite sure, clear. God gave me the answers. And I truly believe it is because I made the decision not to, even though I was grieving, I was hurt, disappointed, I still gave God his due. I still told God, even in my limited knowledge and understanding as a human, you're still God and you still know what's best. I thought, bringing forth the baby was best. I thought that that's what was supposed to happen. It didn't, but God is still good. And so I want to encourage all the ladies, moms out there who've experienced loss, whether it's first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, full-term baby, child that's, breathed life and walked on this earth, that, God is still good and he loves us unconditionally, and he doesn't want us to allow our pain to destroy us. He doesn't want it allow our pain to get us to a place where we're constantly living in despair and grief, and never able to move beyond those trials and tribulations. And so I want you to know that I get it. I understand. The human side of me wishes that I could be delivering a baby boy or girl in February of next year. But despite that, I've still been able to get peace. I've still been able to be healed. It's not been easy. Sometimes I've had, moments of, well, what if, and moments of grief, and it's not easy. Any mom who's experienced a loss knows that, even if you're pregnant for a short term, you're still connected to that unborn child. You still have a connection. And so it's not easy for any mom who's ever experienced a loss, but again, God is still in control, and he always knows what's best, even when we don't know, even when we don't understand. And so as a friend of mine, Rashida, was talking about at our women's, we're having a women's pep rally for new women's council at my church. We've got to continue to push. We've got to push that baby out. And so, no, I'm not pushing a physical baby out, but I'm still having to deliver something. I'm still having to deliver whatever God's plan and will for my life is. I'm still having to deliver something. So not a physical baby, but a supernatural and spiritual baby. And so I want to encourage you that your pain does not have to be defined who you are. It does not have to conquer you, but your purpose is so much greater. I believe that, God sometimes does not intervene because he knows that we can be the light for someone else. We can help to carry the torch for someone else in the midst of their despair. And I know that even though no mom wants to experience the loss of a child, that Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that God knows the purpose, the plans that he has for us, and it's for a hope in a future and not to harm us. And so I truly believe my loss of my child was not to harm me, but it was to make me better. It was to help me bring forth life to something so much greater than that pain and that despair. And so I want to encourage you, if you're going through, even if it's not been the loss of a child, but you're going through pain, just remember that God is still do his just. He still do glory in the midst of it, because, you know, the enemy doesn't want us to give God praise. He wants us to give God praise. He doesn't want us to give God praise, period. But it's so much easier for us to give God praise when everything is going well, when life is going well. You know, everybody's happy and healthy. It's easy to praise God. But it's not as easy to praise Him when we're going through life's trials and tribulations. And so I decided to do something different and to go against my flesh, and to go against my pain and my tears and my suffering. And so I want you to know that you've just got to push. You've got to push forth whatever life God has called you to bring forth on this earth. So ultimately, it'll be for His glory and for your good. Just know that your grief is not in vain. You know, we think sometimes we grieve and well, what is it? What do we gain from our grief? And I just want to encourage you that your grief is not in vain. Something good will come forth, but you have to believe that, and believe that God will never leave you nor forsake you, even in those moments of darkness and despair. That He loves us. He loves us unconditionally. His love for us knows no boundaries. And just keep in mind, and you know, God had to bring this to me, that He experienced loss when He gave up His only begotten Son. And I believe that, you know, God, He suffered for it even more, in the sense of He gave up His child. He made a sacrifice, his only child, to people who never deserved it, to people who didn't deserve it. He had to watch His child be tormented, beaten, bruised, nails in His hands, given a crown of thorns, spit on, tormented, humiliated, so that we could have eternal life. And so God knows the pain when we have lost a child, because He went through it. And so I just want you to know, God, you know, He gave up something for us, and we gave up something in the loss of our children. But God is a healer. He's a restorer. He can still bring peace, joy, and happiness in the midst of that. And so just be encouraged. Just know that He loves you. And that we can achieve, we can move forward. You may, you know, never ever, no woman, I don't think, ever just is like, oh, well, I'm, you know, completely, quote unquote, past it. I mean, I'm better. Like I said, my flesh wishes that I was pregnant, and you know, it's hard seeing you know, birth announcements or pregnancy announcements sometimes, because I'm like, gee, I wish that were me. But God is, you know, He's still good. He makes no mistakes. You know, he can still heal, even in the midst of things that we feel like we can never overcome. And so I want you to be encouraged. I want to thank all those who helped me during this time of despair. I want to thank my husband for not turning his back on me, even though in one moment I felt like I wanted him to. I want to thank my daughter for giving me a reason to smile, even in spite of the storm. My parents, my mom for helping to talk me off a ledge. My dad for getting ready to hop on a plane to come check on me. All of my family, all of my friends who helped to pray for me, just support me during this time. And so I want you to know also, you don't have to struggle alone. You know, if you're having moments of weakness or just despair, reach out to those who you know you can trust and who have your best interest in heart. That's why God put certain people in our lives, so that we don't have to struggle alone. And so with that, I'll be signing off. And strength and dignity, Jasmine. Have a great day, guys.